It's a pleasure having you. Please, can you respond to the reactions of Nigerians regarding the pronouncement by the incumbent president of Nigeria, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, by removing the subsidy and without any procedure, of course, to cushion the effects of this on Nigerians?
Mr. Chigozie, I must tell you that Matthew is the name. I must tell you that that subsidy removal was not is not a well thought out decision by this new administration. Quite agree that Nigerian subsidy should go because it's no longer sustainable in the face of dwindling revenue and the government spending so much to subsidize. But the argument is this the right time to do it, or have we gotten all our fundamentals, all the indices right? For me, all the fundamentals have not been addressed. Because one, we needed to refine what we consume before you tinker with the issue of subsidy removal. And however I look at it, however good the policy is, this government must pay dearly for, because the policy must come with consequence, and this government must pay with the consequence that comes with the policy. Don't forget that before now, former President Goodluck Jonathan tinkered with the idea of subsidy removal, and the opponents of the government and the critics of the government were too political when they made Gani Park at Ojota a theatre avenue, and they were eating and marrying until they forced that government to rescind the decision and turn around and stop the planned subsidy removal.
Unfortunately, this current president was, of course, a proponent of that protest. How would he have reconsidered his position? Is it because he is now the president? He once opposed Jonathan by removing or intended to remove the subsidy, but now he went ahead without, of course, considering the plight of the people, a position which he once stood for. But now, regardless of that, people are not on the street to protest.
To be quite honest with you, as the political gladiators in Nigeria, they play politics with virtually everything. Otherwise, there was no basis for any political gladiator coming out in their numbers to protest against the subsidy removal under former President Goodluck Jonathan. But again, that is the style of politics we have in this country. And the way it is, even if you say the government can no longer continue sustaining the subsidy regime, but I think there are some fundamentals that needed to be addressed before the actual subsidy removal. As we speak, it's on record that the government that just left office made some frantic effort to fix our refineries. In that regard, we are made to understand that they spent about 1.3 trillion naira, which is equivalent to 2.8 million US dollar. And up to now, none of our four refineries is refining. It implies that either the money expended was misappropriated, embezzled, or you cannot tell me that the process is a work in progress. Because if you are fixing four refineries after 7-8 years, none of them are refining, it shows that something is wrong somewhere. So for me, and this government is the same party with the government that just left office. So this government will not have any excuse as to whether the former government did not do the right thing or not before tinkering with the subsidy removal. For me, I think this government made a mistake. They shoot themselves in the foot by removing the subsidy at this early stage of the government.
Wow, this is very fantastic. But now that the deal has been done, and already you can see the number of queues on the streets of Lagos, everybody, of course, is scrambling for the few available shuttles, and it is not funny, just in the first instance. So how do you think that how long could this be sustained, seeing that people are no longer comfortable with this system?
To be quite honest with you, Mr. Chigozie, this travail is going to be with Nigerians for a very long time. As we speak, Dangote refinery product have not yet hit the market. We are looking at about July or August when Dangote refinery product will start coming into the market. Before then, I think we are still going to be leveraging on importation of gasoline, premium motor spirit that is popularly called fuel in our local environment. But again, you look at, even if Dangote refinery is producing, Dangote refinery have said that they are going to be exporting 40% of their products. And in terms of PMS, output of PMS, we are made to understand that Dangote refinery is going to be producing 53 million liters of PMS. And if they are to export 40% of that, it means we are going to get less than 30 million liters from Dangote refinery. And NNPC Group Managing Director Melekare made us understand recently that will consume average of between 64 to 70 million liters of PMS a day.
A day, how
So
possible
it
could
goes
that
to
be?
show there may be some sharp practices, but that is the figure that came from the man who should know, from the horse's mouth. But it goes to show, if that figure is anything to write about, it goes to show that Dangote refinery is not sufficient to satisfy our local consumption, and that we are still going to leverage on importation of products. And if we are still going to leverage on importation of product, that still leaves us to the gap of the cost of importation, the transportation of importation vis-a-vis the subsidy that was hitherto paid by federal government. And if federal government is not paying it anymore, that is going to turn back to the citizens. Hence, the subsidy have been removed. It implies that we are going to pay more for premium motor spirit when we go to a filling station to buy PMS.
Well, I understood that subsidy is a good prospect, the removal of subsidy, but when you say it is not timely, the same rhetorics keep repeating. How do you mean by it is not timely? So when exactly will it be considered timely?
Two things are involved, because we are looking at the impact, the effect it will occasion. We are looking at the hardship that will come with it. That best explain the reason federal government liaised with World Bank to borrow 800 million naira to cushion the effect, and the target of that money was about 50 million vulnerable Nigerians. And we have said that that money is grossly inadequate, as it cannot address the hardship that will come with the subsidy removal. Then again, the part of what needed to be done is to ensure that it fits our refineries. That is one. Secondly, you can build modern refineries that will not take much time and resources to build, and you can replicate that in almost all the 6 geopolitical zones. And if you even look at Dangote refinery, you see that there is even a lacuna, there is even a challenge of how to evacuate the products. It's quite understood that states that fall within the coastal areas like Delta, Bayelsa, Cross River, Edo, rivers and so, you can use tanker vessel to convey product to those states. But the same thing cannot be the case of Lagos State, Ogun State, Middle Belt, and Connaught, who you need to go through land, through tankers to supply them. So again, I think there would have been perhaps a tank farm in maybe outside Lagos, where you now pipe the product from the refinery to maybe Jebode or somewhere, so that you can now reduce the traffic, influx of traffic that will come into Lagos to that refinery as a result of trying to lead the product. So it comes with some challenges, even as it's going to address some of the challenges we have.
Away from that, prior to this time, there have been increased, of course, agitation across different parts of the country, and are calling for, of course, a secession from this Nigeria, that of IPOB, calling for the restoration of Biafra, the Oduduwa, calling for Oduduwa nation. How do you think that this current government can manage the crisis?
To be quite honest with you, it depends on how this government, it is too early and premature to start doing appraisal of this government on how they hope to manage it. But I can categorically tell you that even the current president made mention of the issue of IPOB when he mentioned Nnamdi Kanu, he mentioned Yoruba agitation, when he mentioned Igbo, as that there is need to unify Nigeria. But again, looking at just supposing that with the judgment that have set Nnamdi Kanu free, I think in a safe society in a constitutional democracy, it behoves on the government to obey the rule of law. And if you must obey the rule of law, it behoves on you to set the man free. Hence, he has been freed by the court of law. Because the judgment of the court is not ambiguous. The judge said, hence there was extraordinary rendition that you have lost every right to prosecute this man.
To try
Release
the
him.
case in the first instance.
Yes, release him unconditionally. So I think it's honorable for the current president to respect that judgment and allow the man to go. If you have any other pending case against him, then you can institute it. Hence, you are still leveraging on the case that have been dispensed by a court of competent jurisdiction as it as impunity.
But could such a case strive or succeed in the midst of these circumstances, since the court has given their position that based on the extraordinary rendition which contravene of international rules and engagement bordering on extradition, that the government of Nigeria has lost the absolute right to try him? Could he be rearraigned in Nigerian courts on this basis without being released?
No, you cannot. If you rearrange him on the basis of the cases have been discharged in law, there's what they call double jeopardy. That you cannot subject a man to double jeopardy. That's why I say if you have fresh cases, charges, you want to suit against him, not the cases that have been dispensed. Otherwise, it will amount to subjecting to double jeopardy. But if you are going to higher court of competent jurisdiction to challenge the judgment of the lower court, I think it's a different scenario. But his counsel can even come up with the argument that he has been discharged and that you cannot subject him to double jeopardy. I think it's a precedent in our legal jurisprudence that judges, courts have relied upon to dispense cases.
Wow, that is wonderful. Well, we hope and anticipate that the government of this current government will do what is needful and that adhere to the rules of law and, of course, release a man that has been discharged and acquitted by the competent court of law. It's been a pleasure having you, Machi. How do you survive this exorbitant price of commodities? And this one is, of course, leading the way, the subsidy removal. I know how much I spent to be here today, almost double what I used to spend, and this is just the beginning. How can an average Nigerian survive this very crucial economic mishap?
To be quite honest with you, Mr. Chigozie, there's a popular saying that says that the cloud is about to crash. It's not a one man's affair. But I think our solace is in the scripture that says, when the people shall say there's a casting down, my people shall say there's a lifting up. That notwithstanding, we are all living physically in this part of the world. And anything that affects, even the people who come up with the policy, affects everyone. But we'll find a way around it. One can reduce his activity, can leverage more on online communication, working from home and all that, to curtail one's expenses. To be quite honest with you, this government's policy comes with consequence.
A grave one for that matter, because people possibly might be relieved of their jobs. I saw people stranded even after 9, after 10. Some are still stranded. Now, when will they report to their primary place of duty? And could, of course, their boss be lenient enough to understand the predicament?
It's even better for people who are self-employed. Just like you pointed out, for people who are working with maybe private sector or government parastatals. But I can understand that the government or the employers should understand the prevailing circumstance, because it's no longer a rumor that the government have tinkered with the issue of subsidy removal and that there is apprehension everywhere, and there is already artificial scarcity of the commodity. Hence, filling stations are no longer dispensing. So I think on that basis, employers will show some level of understanding.
Well, we still understood that Atiku has not congratulated the incumbent president. The same thing to Peter Obi. Would it mean that they are still aggrieved with the entire process? And do you expect them to withdraw the case at this time or continue to push on? And can the Nigerian judiciary be trusted since the president enjoy what I call absolute immunity could there be a breakthrough through this cause?
Let me quickly say that the immunity against legal prosecution that Mr. President enjoys does not cover cases instituted in the electoral tribunal, because the basis for which he gone to that office is being challenged. Having said that, I think it's honourable that we allow the cases in the electoral tribunal to run its course, because just like so many stakeholders have said, I read about Tunde Bakare yesterday, how he said that he's not going to address the president as my president, rather he's going to address him as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as according to him that the election fell below acceptable standard. So if you are seeing stakeholders speaking in that manner, we have equally seen them United States of America as the stakeholders, the authorities to address the concern of opposition. And so I think what is honorable is to allow the court to determine those cases.
Allow the court to determine that those cases is on a good note. We want to end it here. Thank you for staying in tune here in Web TV. We'll continue to bring your way on the biased reportage of events as they continue to unfold. Please do kindly subscribe if you have not done so. Like the video, share it as we continue to intimate, of course, all and sundry of the happenings.